Right, all right, all right. How's everybody doing? Welcome back to the Keep It Real podcast with Nicholas Salter. So here I have my good friend here, Sean Sullivan. So we'll be here to talk about basically entrepreneurship and how young men can use some inspiration, kind of look into different people their age, kind of learn how to network and make connections so that way they can actually maybe find out what they're more inclined towards and find the life path that suits them best to kind of uh, avoid the path of, we're kind of being a little lost, a little nihilistic. I feel that's kind of happening a lot nowadays for the young crowd, just especially social media and all those other things. Like a lot of people are kind of being inundated with a lot of information from the world and makes them feel helpless. And I don't believe personally that that's the case. That if we try to shift our focus to a more internal locus of control, focus on things that are within our capacity to handle, then not only can we be more effective in our own personal lives, but more effective in the lives of those around us. So I think a great person to exemplify that is Sean. After meeting him, kind of talking with him over his path that he took that's very unique to kind of give him his own autonomy and control over his life, his finances, and the experiences that he wants to have. And I think he's a great example for like how it is possible to create a good future and a good path for yourself in life, even at a young age nowadays. So
Yeah.
that being said, thank you.
Yeah. So I'll introduce myself, I guess. My name is Sean Sullivan, like Nick said. What I do for a living specifically is I purchase housing. I flip them, I rent them. I do all kinds of other things with the houses, but that's what my business is. And I guess to kind of like reiterate off of like kind of anyone can do this type of thing. I learned my business pretty much off of YouTube, almost entirely. Just learning on YouTube, putting it into action, and then networking, working with like mentors and peers and things like that to move along. It's definitely been like a long journey. I've been running my business for about 3 years. I've flipped about 40, 50 homes at this point. So I would firmly say I'm like a professional at doing this. So yeah, it's definitely been a bit of a ride. It's not the conventional job, but yeah, I don't know if y'all are watching this video, but I am pretty young. I'm only 26 years old. So it's definitely not the conventional path at all. But I'm happy to talk about it. And, if you can learn something from my experience, then by all means,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
hopefully I can help out.
yeah. So like, I guess so why the real estate industry? Like, what kind of spoke to you in that?
Yeah. So I started watching YouTube. There's this podcast. It's called the Bigger Pockets podcast, and it's like the biggest real estate podcast in the world. And I started just watching it at work. So I just like would have it on in the background. And, most of them is, I think there's just a general perception that people are like, invest in real estate. That's good, but there's a lot more to it than that. And obviously, if you don't know, you just don't know. But there was a guy that came on the podcast. His name is Pace Morby, and he's like the king of my industry, basically. So he kind of explained what my industry was, and I like left that podcast with him and the Bigger Pockets podcast of like, oh man, I can like buy a house whenever I want. Like I can buy it on my terms, not someone else's terms, and like I can sustainably live a life by doing that. That's genuinely what I left the podcast with. Um, it's pretty unique, I would say, to leave like one singular podcast with like, man, like now I know what I can do.
Yeah,
But I watched that podcast and it was tremendously helpful with what I wanted to do. I didn't even know it was possible before
right.
that podcast. I just listened to the podcast and it was like, wow. And then there was a bunch of other steps I took. I can kind of outline kind of what I did journey wise to do that because there are some tactical things that like people can do that they just miss on.
Okay. Yeah.
I can actually kind of talk about that right now. So I think a lot of people are like they say the thing like, oh, network, like do your networking thing, but they don't really know how to network. And I'll kind of tell y'all how I did it. So when I first started in this industry, or when you start in any industry, um, you're kind of at the lowest end of the totem pole just because you have the least amount of knowledge and presumably you probably also have the least amount of capital because you're just starting off in the industry. So I'm just going to assume you have a capital constraint. So that was me as well. So what do you have that differentiates you from other people? Well, if you're just entering the industry, you should have more energy than everybody because you should be giddy and excited about it. in a way that someone that's been working the industry like 5 years is just like, I'm just doing my job. But what I have on you, your excitement is that I have that I am just doing my job. Like, I know what my job is. I know how to do my job. I know how to be successful in my role in a way that someone new does not. So you kind of have that juxtaposition of relationship when you're talking about networking, and you got to play to that. The fact that whoever you're networking with, if you're new to the industry, they're just going to know more than you, or you should be, you know, it's kind of like the old saying, if you're the best person in your gym, you need to find another gym.
Right.
So if you are the best person in your gym, so to speak, networking wise, find another gym. You will find another one. Identify who in that gym, who in that ecosystem is like doing what you want to do, and literally just go straight up and talk to them and be like,
find a mentor, basically.
yeah, but you shouldn't. I wouldn't go up to someone and be like, hey, can you be my mentor?
Right.
That's like a big commitment. Like, you on your end as the mentee need to prove that you're a worthy mentee of mentorship. You do that by I simply did that by asking. I asked my mentor, hey, what are you struggling with in your business? Whether it's free or not free, I'll help you solve that need. And that's exactly what I did, is I just solved his need. And he had me essentially working as like a lead gen producer. And that was my first job in real estate, was doing lead gen production for someone else. And we made money together relatively fast. Most people, they don't approach networking that way. They approach networking in the sense of like, what can I get out of it, as opposed to what can I give to it?
And what value can you give to the
Yeah.
person?
Because if someone's really busy, right, and someone's doing a lot of stuff, because presumably that's who you would want to talk to, right?
Yeah.
How do you get on their radar? If you just go up and talk to them, you're probably not going to get on their radar. Think of how many people you've networked with, and this is just how networking is. Like, 1 out of every 100 maybe makes for a useful connection. But it's the 1 out of 100 that you work for, because it's that 1 out of 100 that in my industry will make me 25, 30, 40, $50,000 or even more. So it's like, I need to be willing to nurture those relationships, even if it is 1 in 100 or 1 in 200 or whatever. And that's just the way networking is. And the one-off relationships they make it all worth it. I've had tons of people that I've made tens of thousands of dollars with, that I've just networked with, that if I didn't spend the time, it wouldn't have come to fruition.
Just kind of learning about like their pain points and just learning how you can support them and address them.
Yeah, well, like, from my perspective as an entrepreneur, it's how can we create a symbiotic relationship where you can thrive and I can also thrive, where we're both winning at this relationship. And from a networking perspective, there's no easier way than, if the only resource you have is time and no expertise, it's the easiest way is to throw your time at it, because you don't have the expertise that other people have, or the money.
Right.
Because those are kind of like the three tenets that you have. Is you have like speed of like whatever, or quality of production, money constraints, and then time constraints. So if you're new to the industry, presumably you have the most amount of time. If you don't, then you better have one of the others, So I don't know how you succeed without at least one of them.
Right.
So
just basically being able to have that capacity and energy to invest fully, which will separate you from the more experienced.
yeah. But if you're like doing like entrepreneurship stuff, you should be excited to work for a while at least. Like, I still like what I do. Like, I enjoy what I do. But when I started, it was like all I had was energy about what I was doing, because I was like, it's something new, it's creative, and like, it's different when you make money for yourself. I don't know how many people listening are like entrepreneurs yet, like as of the recording of this, or when you release this, but it is extremely exciting earning your first dollar. Like, as an entrepreneur, it's very very rewarding. It's like it's worth more than another dollar. I'll say that.
It's very validating. It's just like that's something that you made that yourself.
Yeah, it's like
someone else do that for you.
I made it out of thin air. That's how I felt the first time I made my first check in real estate. I was like, wow, I made money out of thin air, and it didn't take that long. So it did feel very empowering. Yeah, and it was a nice paycheck too. So I appreciated that. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. So it's like really that you're seeing that creativity, that that full autonomy is kind of what still drives you to kind of to keep at it.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a lot that drives me to keep at it. I mean, for me, ultimately, I mean, I would hope this is the answer for a lot of people. Just like financial freedom and stuff it would be nice. Like I'm not dreaming of like saddling myself with a bunch more debt and living a lifestyle I can't afford or whatever. I'm not like overly concerned with that. But like if I can afford the lifestyle that I have right now, which I can, and then sustainably afford it forever, which is what I'm working towards, that definitely brings me excitement. It's a lot of work. Like when you're young especially, it's like you're at the bottom of the totem pole, financially speaking. Just naturally, you just haven't had as many years worked as the next person. So you have to do something different. You have to like either invest really well or make higher income, save more money. You have to do those things to get ahead, and eventually your time will come. People age out, and you know, eventually our generation will be the generation that's like 50 years old. And if you do the things when you're in your 20s,
Yeah,
like it should make life very easy in the future. Like that's my theory. Like, life isn't that hard now, but like just as long as I'm willing to make sacrifices today, especially when you're young, they come back and they pay like tenfold. I mean, just any compound investment calculator would show you.
if you sow the right seeds, it'll create the right harvest.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
Absolutely. So I guess kind of walking through like a typical like week, what that kind of looks like for you.
Yeah, nowadays, so I essentially for my real estate business, I essentially run a call center. So I'm calling about 2,000 people a day, maybe 2,500 people every single day. And I have them on an auto dialer. The one I use, do you want me to name drop the stuff? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I use a dialer. It's called Wave, and essentially, probably most of the people, WAVV, if y'all want to search it up. Um, Essentially, what it does is it's a triple line dialer, and what that means is you have three lines. So it calls three people at once until you get someone to pick up. For me specifically, I purchase the pre-foreclosure list for the state of Texas. So I call all of the pre-foreclosures in Texas, and there's usually about 2,000 of them per month. And I cold call them until they pick up. And sometimes they're picking up every 5 minutes. Sometimes it takes an hour. I just keep calling, and it's three people at once. So it usually doesn't take too long. And then I talk to them about their foreclosure, whether they want to stay, whether they want to sell, et cetera, et cetera. I have found that enough of them are willing to sell to me to make a really good business out of it. So yeah, I get a list. My list provider, if y'all want to take note of it, it's called Real Estate IQ. You could purchase it. It's like 350 or $400 a month just for the list. And they provide a bunch of other lists other than the pre-foreclosure list. I just call the pre-foreclosure list because it's lowest hanging fruit, I guess, is the way I would say it. So I get that list, and then I put it into Go High Level, which is my CRM, and then I have Wave, which is my dialer, on top of it. So I call them with Wave, parse the file, and then I just call them until I get someone under contract, and then I send out the contract and they sign. And then from there, that's a different side of the business from there. But that's the input side of the business. That's like the marketing funnel. Is I do cold calling and cold texting. So I do cold texting as well. That was my funnel for cold calling.
So how long did it take you to like kind of find like the right way to convey your message, or the right way to convey your value? Like, what did that process look like?
I would say you're constantly, I guess, refining. But I would say my value just comes in the fact that I'm an expert at like probate process, heirship process, pre-foreclosure process, removing liens, negotiating with foreclosure trustees, handling a bunch of legal issues. That's where my value prop comes in, is because most of these people are like, hey, I'm losing my house next Tuesday. I don't know what to do. It's Thursday. What do we do? And that's where I step in. And that's why I get like really good deals, is because, I'm not like the average person watching this. If they've ever bought a home, that's just like, I'm going to go buy one on the market. I'm buying one off market that has a bunch of issues, whether that be structural or people. Most of the time it's people wise. And because of that, we're able to get good deals because of it. And that's where the value prop is, you got to have the right client as well. Like some clients they don't understand it. They're like, hey, it's a $300,000 house. I'm giving you it for 260. And they don't understand that that's like signing up to lose money. Because if I pay 260 for a $300,000 house and I'm paying their closing costs, I'm going to lose money. So you got to get the right type of clientele, and you got to communicate it properly as well. So
I guess like how what's the rejection rate of that?
I felt like 99%.
99.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot
You
of
also got to be like immune to like the fact that most of the time it's not going to go your way. It's high ticket remote sales. Like it's high ticket. It's about as high ticket as it gets. I'm coming for the house. Most people don't own bigger assets than their house, and that's what I'm coming for is their house. So, but you get a high ticket sale. You could get a sale on a multi-million-dollar piece of property. You don't need a very high percentage of the value of the property on that one property to make a really good living for the year. Like I get properties every year where it's like this property could be my living for the year, and I don't get one. I get like multiple of those usually. So, yeah.
So I mean that's because I worked in sales for like currently and also at a call center when I first got out of college. And I got my ass kicked in terms of like being rejected over the
It's
phone.
tough.
So
it's real tough.
if you want a character building activity, cold call sales is a great way to.
Yeah. It definitely affected my worldview. Like there's like my worldview pre cold calling, and there's my worldview like after cold calling. It's like it'll like make you immune to a lot of different things where you're just like other people like I just noticed I didn't used to be immune to this, or like other people are not immune to this, whereas me it's just like
yeah,
whatever. Like I get a lot of phone calls, for instance, like way more phone calls than most people, and it's just part of my world is like that I get phone calls at random times, and it's disruptive, but it is what it is.
It's a thing in psychology called like systematic desensitization, or basically like the more you get exposed to something voluntarily over time, the more kind of thicker skin you get used to it. That's actually how to have people address their phobias or things like that in psychology. So it's basically that's kind of what we went through, exposure therapy, like being rejected.
Pretty much. I describe the cold calling a lot as like going to the gym. Like when people ask me like how do you do it, I'm like, well, you're asking me as a cold caller that is like basically the most yoked dude at the gym. That's like me in the cold calling room. You ask me, it's just like just turn on the computer and just start calling.
Yeah.
For other people, they're like, "Oh my gosh, that's so scary." The first time I did it, I was like terrified.
Yeah.
So
me too. Yeah. I remember having like the script in front of me, and just like stumbling over my words and like,
Yeah.
the gaps and pauses, and just like the sweat coming down. Like my manager bringing it back. He's like, it's just kind of
yeah. Now I'm just like laying back there, just chilling, just like, just chilling, cold calling. I used to be like fully locked in. Like it's not like that anymore. Like most of the time, I'm like on social media or something. Honestly, it's pretty bad to admit, but I'm on social media quite a bit because of the nature of my job.
A lot of dial-up time, dial-up, stuff like that. So
yeah,
you're used to it, and I think that's an important thing to know is that like everyone has to start from somewhere. So like if you do want to go down a certain path in life, I mean you're gonna get your shit kicked in. That's just a fact of the matter. But over time, things get easier the longer that you commit to it and you develop more skill sets, more resources become available to you. It's just if you stick to the path, ideally, and if it works for your personality, it should become easier for you over time. But if I also had to guess, you've probably been one of those people that like you've always kind of been like slightly different from the rest of the pack, or it's like you've kind of like.
I would say so. Most people would acknowledge that I'm different. Yes.
So it's like you more kind of look for challenges and stuff like that than like.
Oh yeah. Like I would say in general life, I'm way more like diversified than other people in terms of what I'm doing. Like I would say like most people are like maybe good and maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 things. That's not how I am. I'm very diverse. For me, work's a really big part of what I do, but it's not everything that I do anymore. Like I'm very big on like skill stacking, like diversifying. And I feel like if you get more skills outside of work or inside of work that are diverse, it'll really help you with work. So like for me, I'm good at playing the piano. I'm good at like my job. I played basketball growing up and played soccer growing up. I go dancing. I go longboarding. I go for walks a lot. Like I do a lot of different things. I'm not just doing one thing. Um, and I feel like skill stacking like that is very helpful. It makes you more interesting as a human being, but it also just like it helps to diversify your line of thinking. Like if I didn't play the piano, like when I play the piano, sometimes during the day it like loosens my mind up. Like I feel loosened up after playing. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Or going for a walk, it's just like you come back to your desk thinking a little bit differently. So I don't know. That's a random thing.
I think that makes sense actually. Because like as you explore more creative aspects, because left brain, right brain, right?
Yeah.
As you create more of like, I think it's the right brain is more the artistic side. As you explore more of that, that opens up more kind of different lateral thinking or different kind of thinking paths and just.
I think so as well.
Yeah.
I think so as well. It's very helpful for me. I mean, there's other stuff I want to do too, and it's just finding the time to do it. But
is there a certain skill right now that you're kind of focusing on?
That I want to do?
Yeah.
I want to become a pilot, but I got to look into how much it costs. I got to look into the time. I got to look how to do it. But I've been like kind of looking. I've been wanting to do that, and then I've been wanting to get wine certifications.
I didn't know there was certifications for those. So like
Yeah.
being able to kind of know what kind of wines, like just by testing, just by smelling, like.
Well, there's a wine spirits and education training test. There's like a level 1 test, a level 2 test. I just want to do the level 1. I don't know exactly like what you're gonna leave with, but I know you'll leave with something because it's an 8-hour class.
Say 8 hours.
And I've heard very good things from people that went to the class. So I've been wanting to go for a little bit now. It costs like $400 to go. It's legit.
Man,
Yeah.
that's cool. I didn't know. I didn't know that was even a thing.
Yeah. You see, you got to look for these type of things too, where you're like, oh, that'd be cool. And then you can tell people that you're wine, spirit, and education training certified.
You can probably explain what that is, but yeah.
Well, you could probably explain what the wines are. How useful would that be?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So I guess like I picked up that vibe from you as you're the kind of person that like likes to explore different avenues.
Yes, very much.
Kind of learn a little bit about each of them. It's kind of like,
yeah.
And then you can actually turn that information and kind of formulate into something new.
Yeah, and if you like it, like you should just be exploratory in the sense of like say yes to something, even if you think, man, I really wouldn't like that. Just try it. Just try it.
Have you ever seen the movie Yes Man with Jim Carrey?
I have seen that movie.
It's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
It's an amazing movie. But like it's basically about Jim Carrey. He's like a guy, like he was very kind of standoffish, very closed off to life, and it was affecting himself and his personal relationships. And he went to this seminar to where if he starts saying yes to just about anything that gets asked of him, that basically broadened up his life and broadened up his horizons. And it did. It was hilarious, and then went through a lot of fucked up shit. But the premise of the movie is just like being able to say yes to opportunities that come your way, because those opportunities can change your life in a very meaningful way. Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people miss opportunities because they just don't say yes. Like I say yes to about as much as I possibly can. And if I'm saying yes to stuff, there's no reason that other people shouldn't say yes to stuff either. Because like I look at some stuff that I say yes to and I'm like, dang, I am really busy. Like I could be doing anything with my time, but like we'll try it out. Like it'll be fine. Like I'll survive. I'll be okay. And like sometimes you'd be surprised. Like you'd be surprised. Like you go out with someone and you're like, hey, they're kind of cool. Like they kind of surprised me. Like I met them like in person at whatever event, but then we got our one-on-one time and it's like that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Or they take you to a cool like bar that you've never been to, and you show up and you didn't know that they were like that.
Saying yes to one open door leads to like more open doors down the line. Like subsequent doors to where it's like, oh, I didn't know. Like you never know just saying yes to one thing, what that path can lead you towards. Like even when I started doing country dancing, like I was just like a spur of the moment of like, I guess I'll go because I'm trying to get out of my own social anxiety and trying to put myself out there, stuff like that. And now I love it.
Yeah. The first time I went, I was like so scared. I was terrified. I was like, I don't know what any of this is.
Dude, I got rejected one time. One first night, I rejected twice. I was like, I went home. I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this show.
Yeah, now you get rejected like twice to start the night.
Yeah,
You know, you never know.
it just rolls off your back. Which again, 5 years ago, I never would have thought that I'd be able to like do that.
Right.
But by like being able to put yourselves willingly in those circumstances, little by little, you kind of grow in that capacity, like over time. I mean, you can change. So and now, I mean, I can't really imagine my life without it. I mean, it's a fun activity that I love doing to meet new people, and it's good for your physical health too.
Mhm.
So, I mean, even for young guys out there, if you want to start getting into dancing or like, if there's anything like that nearby where like you can build a skill while socializing with other people and build those social skills, I think that's also very beneficial as well.
Yeah. You should like look around for like things in your city too. Like that's a big thing. Like I go to I have things to do like every night of the week if I want to like just go out by myself. And I think that's a big thing for people is they need to be comfortable going out by themselves, especially if you're like a young man. Like if you when you go from like college to like the real world, you have this misconception as a young man that like there's always going to be young people around you all the time, and it's just not like that. Like you go into the real world and it's just a hodgepodge of everything. You might get some you'll get by the time you're like 27, 28 like me, I'm like about to turn 27, you'll have someone call you old and you're like, "Oh dang." Like
yeah, hey Unc, it's like, what?
yes, you're just like, "Wait, what? I've never gotten that before." And I've gotten that a couple times now. And I don't even think I'm old, but like
Yeah.
you'll get people that are old, that are in their like 70s or 80s, and they'll be like your next door neighbors, and they'll be cool, they'll be nice. You need to learn to coexist with them. But the point is, you're not going to be around young people like you are in like college, like, and you're going to need to learn to go out by yourself and like talk to people of your own age and do those things. And it's legitimately it's a skill, like, and it's I would say it's a big problem in our generation. Just because people don't really know how to do that, and it's not maybe as culturally acceptable as it used to be.
We're
in
taught
certain
like
circumstances.
talking, like don't talk to
Don't
strangers.
talk to strangers.
Yeah, I thought that really fucked up.
Yeah.
It's like the way you make friendships and like make meaningful relationships.
I had someone like a girl I had seen like 5 to 10 times. I like went up to her and we were just talking, and I was just like, "Hey, let's go out sometime." And she's like, "I don't know, you're a stranger." I'm like, "We've seen each other like 5, 10 times."
Like five? How much? I have on vacation.
Yeah, every friend's a stranger until you say hello. You know, like
that's a good one.
every friend was once a stranger. So,
Right.
but
Yeah, be able to develop those social skills, and not only that, like when you start going out there and you see reoccurring faces, you'll slowly start developing relationships, like Sean said, to where it's like over time, it's like you see the same faces, and then you start making those connections, and then a relationship can slowly kind of develop from there. So you may not be alone for that long. It's just there might be that uncomfortable period in the beginning, but as you talk more and socialize more, that'll naturally kind of take care of itself to where you won't be alone. And you have like more friends and people to kind of go out with and do things with.
yeah, I mean, and if dancing's not your thing, like I do yoga too. Like yoga is very good for.
I did Pilates with my mom one time. That kicked my ass. I did not.
Yeah, Pilates is a one-time thing. Some of your folks may like Pilates, but Pilates just seems hard. But there's so many communities like where you can literally just show up, and if you just like Nick said, if you showed up 3 to 5 times, you'd be like, you'd see some familiar faces, and you'd be like, "Hey, like I saw you last week," and then it just spirals from there. Like it can be that easy, but it does take a little bit of discomfort for most people.
And I know for me myself personally, I can be a little bit of an overthinker. So it's like I might like maybe undervalue what I have to give as well in relationships, to where I might be more closed off than I should be because I'm just trying to protect myself from like rejection or like from being hurt or like, I don't want to be turned away from someone for not being like, good enough or whatever. But then you also realize as you talk to more people that really they're all just like you. Like they're just normal people that have their own issues, their own problems, their own like worries, insecurities. And it's like we're all just trying to figure it out. Like some people might wear some more masks better than others, but most of us we're all just trying to figure it out together. Like, you're not any less special or even any more special than a lot of other people. It's like we're all diversified with different personality strengths and weaknesses, but we all do each have our own value that's worth something. That I think is all equal. We're all equally valuable in this world, even if we are different. And I think that's something that maybe Gen Z, like maybe that wasn't something that we were taught like growing up, where we felt you had to be a certain way. in order to be successful, in order to have certain relationships or reach certain milestones. And I think there's multiple ways to success depending on who you are as an individual. I think as Sean exemplifies, to where it's just you can find your own path to do something and your own strengths to do something. It requires a level of self-awareness, but once you have that, I think you can iron out a path for you that works best for you in life.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. So it's that's awesome, man. So I know you. So I guess where you want to take this with the real estate thing? What's the next like 5
What
10
do I want to do? Oh man, I mean, I would like to pay off my house. That's like my big one. I've been doing that. I started paying off my house like a year ago. I've done really well with that. So I mean, that's the big thing. That sounds kind of boring though. For me, I would love to expand my real estate portfolio. I expanded really quickly, so I have 7 houses that I have like long term, which I would say for my age is pretty good. 26 and owning 7 houses is quite.
Have one right now. So
Yeah.
7 is probably exceptional.
So 7's pretty decent. The goal is just to one day be able to have that, be able to just supplement my use my like base income, but it doesn't make enough income right now. So whether that be getting more houses or paying off the ones I have. So I'm paying off one of the ones I have, and then the others make some money too. That's the whole dream that real estate is sold as. It's like you're gonna have all this like quote unquote passive income. It's not really passive, but you know, it's
maintenance and then doing like
but it's not like overwhelmingly amount of work. Usually, like sometimes if you're having to file an insurance claim, then it is like a constant annoyance. But other than that, it's usually pretty simple. Of like, I'm just paying the contractor, collecting the rent. As long as your tenants are good and you treat your tenants well, usually they treat you fine back. But yeah, I mean, in terms of me for my goals, my goal is just to literally just obtain financial freedom through my quote unquote passive income from houses. That's not really passive income.
I feel like as passive as probably until like do like some kind
it's a lot less passive than most people think. Like,
okay,
it's a lot. Like this house like flooded this year, so I had to file the insurance claim on this house. That was 3 months of getting no rent, of the house being destroyed. So it's like you got to live through that. One of my houses, the air conditioner I think went out last year, so that's like $6,000-7,000 that you weren't planning for. It's a lot more than people think. It's a lot less passive than you think, because you got to work with like the contractors, the insurance company. Whenever someone leaves, you got to release the place. So I have probably someone leaving with my properties every 3 or 4 months. So I have someone constantly leaving my houses, and I have to fill it constantly. So it's a little more work than I think most people think.
Yeah.
But like relative to the income I receive to the hours that I work, yes, it is a very high dollar per hour activity. Because I think I pull in like about 10 grand worth of rent per month. So, you know, like, and I maybe work a couple hours, but that's my revenue. I paid my mortgage notes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like I, you know, gross about like 10 grand, and then I pay my notes and stuff. So yeah, in terms of dollar per hour activity, it is a very high dollar per hour activity.
Yeah,
but
it's
not completely passive.
Yeah, it still takes a lot of action there.
Yeah.
Like, do you see yourself like I guess once you achieve financial freedom and kind of your financial goals you set for yourself, like being some kind of like mentor yourself or like kind of teaching?
I mean, I already do mentor people whenever they need it. Like a big coaching platform or anything like that. I don't know, probably not. I like my anonymity on like social media and just general anonymity, as opposed to being like a guru or something like that. That seems a little bit much for my personality, but yeah, I mean, I definitely mentor people whenever they want to learn about the business or whatever. I definitely more than happy to teach them about the business. I give like training to people literally on how to get a deal, like literally their first deal. The training is extremely in depth. Your audience would be probably like, what the heck is happening if I just gave the training right now.
How about like what's like one of the big tips that you realize or like that you learn from yourself, like a big like kind of sales tip, like in general that might be?
I'll give a really good one. My mentor gave me this one really early on when I like had hit a wall. So if you're talking like I'm going to speak like the prism that I'm viewing things on is like entrepreneurship. And then for me, entrepreneurship, the most important thing is sales. Like you can have a product, but if you don't sell it, it doesn't matter. So everything I look through is through the sales perspective. Um, my mentor kind of told me when I had hit a wall in my business, he had told me you got to focus on the out or the inputs, not the outputs, because the only thing that you can control is what you put into it. If you have a proven concept, especially, you should be like pretty okay with focusing on the inputs because you've proven the concept. If you haven't proven the concept, then I understand why you might question yourself. But for me, I'm prefacing what I said is I already had a proven concept at this point. But I was kind of frustrated with my mentor because I was like, dang, I'm not getting the amount of deals that I want this month. It sucks, da 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 da. And like me not getting a deal means I'm not making money, like at all. Like if I don't do any deals, that means I'm making no money for the month, which sucks. It happens. It still happens. It sucks. It doesn't happen much, but it does happen. So he was just telling me to focus on the input. So he asked me, "Are you doing the same things that you've been doing?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Well, there's no reason to be upset then. They've worked in the past, so surely they should work in the future." So that was where it really helped me to get a lot less frustrated, is focusing on what I'm doing and putting into it and enjoying the process as opposed to expecting to make a $20,000 paycheck because that doesn't always happen.
So it's like as long as the process is solidified, and
Yeah,
you know that's then the rest will take care of itself, even if you're not in control of the outcome all the time. So,
correct. Because like, yeah, like I still have months. Like I had a month, like I think 2 months ago, I made like $1,500, which is like nothing. That's terrible money. That's essentially like making nothing. But the 2 months around that, I had my second and third best months of the year, which my second and third best months of the year are very good months, very, very good months. So I just had a little lull in between two really big months, and that's fine because if I have one small month, that means 2 out of 3 months went well. 2 out of 3 months is good enough for me.
yeah.
For what I'm doing, that's good enough. That's more than good enough.
So I guess the follow up question then would be like, how do you know if something's a good proof of concept, or if you have a solid process in place?
Well, you got to have a little bit of a sample size, Like it's easy for me to sit here and say, "Well, be patient with it," and you know, like trust in your inputs. But if your inputs haven't proven anything, it's very difficult. I'm just saying, once you've proven something, and you've proven like these are my inputs, they work. You're gonna have a point where things slow down just naturally. It's just gonna happen. Whether it's like for me, I'm essentially just spinning a lotto wheel over and over again, just playing the lottery enough times to win. Like sometimes there's nothing to win in that lottery, and you move on to the next month.
Yeah.
But um, yeah, I he gave me that advice when I was reasonably early on. I'd probably done like 5 to 10 deals at that point. If you've never done sales, um, there's a lot if you've never done sales that there's a lot of emotion to it,
I
especially early on.
I didn't realize like how much EQ. Like, I was really like a book like IQ kind of person, but going into sales, I didn't realize how much EQ was needed.
Oh yeah,
Doing that to be able to just kind of to read people, talk to people, be able to listen effectively, and see what their pain points are.
it's also important to bring your best attitude towards. I mean, I suppose it's whatever you're working, but especially in that job, it's very important to bring like a good attitude to the table. Like just unflappable, just like I'm doing me. Yeah, like I'm good. So yeah, it's affected my attitude. I'm a lot more even keeled than I used to be, as opposed to like having the big spikes and the big valleys and stuff.
Yeah, I will say that too. It's like going through sales, like when you go through good months and bad months, it gives you that realization to where it's like life, it kind of have cycles or seasons to where there's going to be times where things go your way and go great, and other times where they go to shit and they don't go so well. But you have the evidence prior that you made it through a difficult circumstance, so there's no reason why you can't make it through a difficult circumstance this time. Just kind of have
Yeah,
to ride out the storm, so to speak. So I think that's yeah, I agree with that. Even like when I worked in sales, like in the cold call, it's like it was. I had a couple months where I feel like I was barely getting anything. That's not great,
yeah,
and I'm just like, shit, this is not looking great. Then my mentor is like, look, Nick, whenever you start doing well and then you stagnate, there's gonna be another point where you also take off. You know, you gotta keep at it, and over time you make these little minor adjustments, and then it may not add up to much in the short term, but over the long term, it's like the exponential growth, and all of a sudden, you're just going to skyrocket and take off.
Yes.
Which is exactly what happened. Like a couple months after that, I think I was one of the top salesmen for that month. For some reason, I started to find my groove, and I feel like I didn't really change much, like at least consciously. But I guess it's through enough repetition, the process was there to where it started taking care of itself.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, yeah, being able to have, like you said, a proof of concept of something that does work, that is solid, that's stable, and then just sticking to that as best as possible, and try not to get too bogged down if it looks like things aren't turning out your way immediately. Some things, some seeds just take some time to grow.
Yeah, I mean, for my industry, it'd be very difficult to close anything within 6 weeks. So that takes a minute. Most people are used to getting paid every week or every other week, so it's a little different. Yeah, you have to get used to that too. So
I guess, do you have like any one last piece of advice for I don't know, let's say you had to talk to yourself about maybe 5-6 years ago. What's something that you would tell them?
oh shoot, I did it right 5 or 6 years ago, so I did just fine. I set up a really really good business, so I would say to do the same thing. But what I knew at that time, and what I coming out the other side, I have confirmed to no further, is if you are starting a business, it's going to take up a lot of your time. Like, you cannot, you have to look for things in work that you have a competitive advantage on. And like I said earlier, most businesses, the only competitive advantage you have at the start is that you can simply throw more manpower than the next. So, like, become an expert by throwing manpower at it. I learned mostly in the streets, like way more than I learned in the books, like by just going out there and doing things, just trying things. Some stuff will work, some stuff won't. That's fine. At least now you have an experience to draw from. So yeah, I would just say go out and try new things. And then in terms of advice, like your first like 2 years in business, maybe a year, maybe if you're lucky a year, is literally just fighting to keep the doors open. That's just the cost of entry. That's the barrier of entry. Most businesses, mine included, it's not going to cost you like less than $100 to start. It's going to cost money to start. You're going to have upfront costs. You're going to have to sacrifice. If you want to build something great, that's the cost of admission. If you want to be exceptional, you have to be the exception. It is that simple. You want to be great, you have to do the things when no one's watching. You gotta.
Yeah, everyone always sees like a music performance, or even like a boxing match. People see the final result, but they don't see the hours of training and preparation it took to achieve that high level of performance. They just see the final show, so to speak.
Yeah, LeBron didn't show up and be LeBron just by just being there. He put in a lot of hours. He trained a lot, and he is the summation of 40 years worth of work. And that's what you got to be. And then in terms of if you're younger as well, I'll give a second piece of advice, is you just need to choose something to be actionable about. Like I talk to enough young people that are like, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this, I want to do that. And they'll have 4 or 5 things that they quote unquote want to do, but they aren't doing anything actionable about any of them. It's way more important to do one thing and just do a lot of it than it is to do a little bit of 5 things. Even when you're talking about like skill stacking, like I did earlier, I'm not trying to play the piano, go dancing, become a pilot, start my business, learn how to play basketball. I'm not trying to do all those at the same time. I did a lot of those at separate times and became competent enough to where it's like, oh, this is a good pastime for me to like go work on something. Like if I want to go work on the dance floor, I'm competent enough to where I can have a really good time and still be learning. Same with the piano, same with basketball, but it takes a while to build competency. And if you're at the start of your business, the thing that's most important for you to build competency in is your business. So you're going to be spending a lot of time in that, and that's just how it is. And it's going to feel like work to start. that's why I can work less hours than probably the people watching this, is because I have extreme competency in my field, specifically a lot of competency. So I don't have to work as hard in terms of like, I don't need to be like fully enthralled by every conversation I have. I can be half listening because I've put in a lot of hours.
Say building that. It took you a while to build that foundation, but once you have it,
Yeah,
it's
but then like once your business is making money and once you're doing stuff, in my opinion, you should go out and skill stack. Like if the only thing you're good at is the business, you're missing out on a lot of like different things in life. Like I personally would rather be good at a lot of different things than make $100,000 more personally, you know? Um,
but then in those different things, you individually work on one of them at a time to get really good, and then you add on to it.
yeah. Like I'll put a point of emphasis or focus on one of the skills more than the other skills. Like if I'm lacking in that skill or I need more attention to that, or if it's just a new skill, like if I'm doing the pilot thing, I'm going to need to be doing the pilot thing like 3-4 times a week to get a grip of it.
Well,
Like I can't be attending to it one time. Whereas like the piano, I don't play 1 time a week, but I reasonably could play 1 time a week on the piano and I'd be okay.
so
3 or 4 weeks from now.
prioritize and then reassess once you made progress, and then reprioritize as
Yeah.
needed. So that could be a good tip: is that if you have multiple things you might want to work on, rank order and prioritize them and see which one's the most meaningful, which one's the most important to you first, and put probably 80% of your time towards that. And then once that starts getting to a good place, then you can start working down priority list to the other things you want to achieve and kind of build that full.
Yeah. It makes life a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It means you're constantly like, I know everyone says you're always learning, but you should. I do stuff where I'm like I'm always learning, but it's all actionable. Like it's
Right.
all like it's dancing, it's real estate, it's the piano. It's
and-
very actionable.
And I think our school system kind of fucked us in that regard because it almost made learning seem like it's very kind of like robotic or sterile. Like,
Yeah.
like learning should be somewhat of a fun
Yeah,
experience.
very and textbooky. It can be textbooky.
Yeah,
It's cool.
like be a lot of mental exercise instead of like getting entrenched into the world, which I feel like how people really learn most is just by doing. And then like
Yeah.
you fail and then you learn, you reassess, and then you try again. I think that's how real learning takes place. But we were taught how to just try to be perfect out the gate and just, check off
Yeah.
a rubric and then wonder why we don't get life doesn't seem as fun as we want it to be.
Yeah.
It's like, it takes real learning takes experience and takes failure. But then from that you gain wisdom, and then that improves your experiences in the future. And it's a cycle. It can be a beat down, it can be hard sometimes, but if you stick with it long enough, I think they'll pay off. Speaking from also another 26-year-old, so
Yeah.
we'll see. But at least
We're still seeing. We're figuring it out.
as the time goes on, yeah. But awesome, Sean. Yeah, thanks for being on the show. Man.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
It's
Absolutely.
always an honor.
Yeah, awesome. And thank you guys for listening and tuning in. We got some more future episodes coming down the pipe. But like always, let us know what you think. Leave a comment and keep it real.